Alex Rollins made a very compelling video,
Yeah, it was good.
essentially saying that Purdy mania is Jimmy Garoppolo mania 5 years later. And he laid out all the similarities. They were staggering. There are some differences as well, which he got into. Maybe he undersold them. Overall, it was an outstanding video. What were your major takeaways?
I really liked it. I mean, I liked how he how thorough he was, and to me, some of the information in there was really really good. I didn't feel like he had an agenda. I felt like he gave positives and negatives. I felt balanced.
Right.
You know what I mean? It didn't feel like propaganda. It felt like a balanced video. I like
Agree.
that. I thought it was
Which is
really
hard to do in this debate, right?
yeah,
It's
and
hard to
also,
do.
let's be honest. I mean, if you're really anti Shanahan and Shanahan's like, Shanahan's overrated, this video kind of flew in the face of that because it kind of made it seem like Shanahan was one of the main reasons that Purdy and Garoppolo have had such success in the intermediate part of the field. I thought that was kind of interesting, but I think there was also some things that, like, when you really look closely at what he was saying there, he was making a lot of comparisons, and there are a lot of similarities. I don't think I guess if you're of the notion that Jimmy's a quarterback that ranks between 20 and 30 and Brock's like one of the best, then you'd pump the brakes and be like, maybe Brock's not as good as I think. Maybe Jimmy's not as bad as I think. But if you're like me, I kind of viewed them as similar with Brock being better. Like I think Jimmy's like a 15 to 20 range guy with some credentials because he was on some good teams. I think Brock's more like a 12 to 15 kind of guy who's got top 10 potential if he continues to ascend. So to me, I see them very similar anyway. But similar, but there's some parts of Purdy's game that are far better. And I thought that he kind of minimized those while highlighting the similarities. For example, one guy costs you nothing and the other guy cost a ton. And this is a cap sport. So the cheaper quarterback means you have a better roster around that quarterback. So that's a factor. I mean, the cheaper quarterback's more valuable in today's NFL. That's one. That makes Brock more valuable. I think Brock's accuracy makes Brock more valuable. I think Brock's mobility and escapability to extend plays with his legs makes him a totally different quarterback than Jimmy. In many ways, I think that's what makes a great quarterback. A great quarterback is that pocket mobility, escapability, extend the play, whatever you want to call it. Brock, I think, does that so much better than Jimmy. And then I think Brock, believe it or not, I mean, I think Jimmy's got a better arm than Brock, but Brock was a better thrower down the field last year and outside the numbers. I think what we had been seeing the last couple of years, Grant, and I think you and I have discussed this, that Jimmy's downfield passing game had eroded to virtually nothing and was starting to frustrate Shanahan, I'm sure. I also think of Brock as kind of a smarter player and a better competitor and really a lot better at analyzing risk reward. And that's, I think, another major element of playing quarterback. And I think the biggest one is that, Jimmy would throw in the bonehead plays. Brock's, I think, better at avoiding. He's more patient, avoids negative plays better. And then, of course, the 6-year age difference. They were very similar in all these categories, but like a double A, if you talk to a baseball scout, hey, you got two guys in double A, they both have identical stats. One guy's 26, the other guy's 19. The 19-year-old is better than the 26-year-old just by the fact that he's 19 at the same age. I see them as similar last year, but Brock obviously being quite a bit younger. So I thought it was a really, really good video. I hadn't even heard of Rollins, to be honest, before that. And I know he's not perfect. I mean, he thought that Kinlaw was better than, Buckner. And so nobody's perfect on these things. But overall, I thought it was one of the best 49er comp videos I've seen this offseason for sure. What'd you think?
Yeah, what I thought was really interesting that he found was the passing charts for each quarterback. Like,
The
we know
colors,
they're
the
different,
colored
but like
passing
essentially their passing charts are the same, which was very interesting. They play in the same offenses. Obviously, Kyle's calling the plays, but when the ball leaves their hand, it's very similar. What's different about them is how they deliver it. And to me, and maybe the numbers don't bear this out, but I think they will over their careers. I would look at Brock Purdy as the better play action quarterback because you can roll him left, you can roll him right. He throws well on the run. He's quick. Like, I think he's a really good play action quarterback. When
The
it comes
biggest
to
element of that, not to interrupt you, the biggest element of that, though, is when, and this was noticeable, when Jimmy turned his back on the defense, when he flipped around, he literally needed a second and a half to recalibrate where everybody was and what speed
Right.
they were at. Where when you saw Purdy flip it around, he's flipping it around in motion, like he knows exact that pass that he threw to Kittle on the blitz, the zero blitz up the middle. That was a blind look, and Purdy's so much faster coming when he turns back around to get rid of the football.
Yes. Purdy's a much better play action quarterback than Jimmy. Jimmy's not a particularly good play action quarterback for the reason you just said. And also, you can't roll him out left or right. He's too slow. So you can't change the launch point. There's really no point doing it with Jimmy Garoppolo. He doesn't even want to do it. But straight shotgun drop back passing, I think I'd still take Jimmy. He's got a quicker release. He's taller. I think he has a stronger arm. I think he's got a little bit more zip to fit it in between tighter windows. So that doesn't mean he's a better quarterback.
Thrower.
It doesn't mean he's a better quarterback than Brock. It just means they're different. Like that's the one area where I would take Jimmy. Yeah, no doubt.
And Jimmy did play action off the
shotgun RPO.
Off the shotgun better because he could do it while keeping his eyes downfield. He didn't have to turn because off the shotgun they would do a lot of that almost fake the shovel pass.
Okay.
And
so here's the stat I wanted to give you. Good. So last year Jimmy out of the shotgun was his quarterback rating was 102. Brock Purdy out of the shotgun, his quarterback rating was 96. Like not bad, like still good, but to me, like look at Purdy's splits under center. His completion percentage was almost 79. From the shotgun, it was 63. So under center on play action in this scheme, Purdy's dynamite for what he can do on the run. But still, like when you take all that away and it's just drop back, shotgun throw, like I still think he's pretty right in the middle when it comes to starting quarterbacks. I'm not trying to take a shot. I'm just saying he's pretty average among starters from just straight drop back shotgun.
I think that's
because of his size and his arm. I mean, come on. That's it.
But, and it, all of it is a small sample size.
Yeah.
To me, when you really look at the struggles of these other rookies, it does paint a, if you're comparing Garoppolo, who I thought played his best football in a Niner uniform last year, to Purdy, but we're still looking at Purdy's first year,
right?
And then let's be honest about this: he didn't play for 3 months between starts. I mean, not starts between playing time. Played at the end of the preseason, didn't play again until first week in December. So I gotta think that with an off season of learning and mental reps, even though he didn't do the physical reps, I gotta think that there'll be some smoothing out and improvement in his game. Maybe not. Maybe there'll be an adjustment from the defense to what he does well.
Well, there's both. It's always it's a race.
Yeah,
he's improving. Right. The defense is improving. It's always a race. That's what I love about pro sports. But the question is with him is like, how much more can you improve? I don't question his drive or his. He's going to do what it takes. But can you stretch out your arm to get it? Like, can you do that? I don't know. He's good at so many things already. His weaknesses are things that you wonder whether he can physically improve. But
then how do teams defend him?
Exactly.
Do we see a different style of defense this year to try to force him to go down the field?
Right. Because a dink and dunk quarterback, I mean, is essentially someone like if the defense is going to play single high and play press coverage and what they're giving you, if you want to take what the defense is giving you against that coverage, it's the deep throw down the sideline, right? So you have to be willing to take that if they're giving it to you. If they're daring you to throw it, and we haven't really seen defenses do that much because he hasn't played that much. So we'll see. We'll see what he does. I mean, I was looking up Joe Montana highlights because everyone says he didn't really throw deep very much. This is true, but he did sometimes. If dared, he could hit Jerry Rice over the top down the sideline. I mean, you can find those highlights. So Brock Purdy has to be able to do it. You don't have to do it every game, but if called upon. So we'll see. I don't know that he can't. We'll see.
Here's the weird thing. The Brock Purdy that we saw last year was not the Brock Purdy that I saw on the film when I watched Iowa State. he had quite a bit of better arm last year with the Niners than he ever
Right.
showed at
That's
Iowa
true.
State. So where does it
That's
go
true.
from here post surgery? But he's working on his mechanics. He's getting older. He's getting a little stronger. He's getting a little bit more knowledgeable. But I mean, there's a lot of factors here. Some make him worse. Some make him better. Some make him stronger. Some could make him weaker. You know, we just got to see what it looks like in July and August, or maybe probably more likely August and September.
Yeah. I just feel like one thing that Rollins could have pointed out in terms of differences, there's a huge difference between the play action game with Jimmy and with Brock. And you know, when you talk about Kyle gets receivers wide open, yeah, on play action passes, because his run game is so good and his play action passes look just like the runs for the first, second, and a half of the play. Everyone knows that. He does a great job of that. But his drop back passing game they don't even practice it hardly. They think they're always going to be winning and leading. It's not something they want to do very much. So that's why people are getting open. It's why Brock is such a good fit. But at some point in the season, you're going to be down 10 in the shotgun. But, you know, the Niners don't even have the offensive line to pull that off. So let's not even talk about it.